Welcome to Watching Football Week with your host, one half of that dynamic duo, Sean Spencer, and South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer.
Don't play us if you're undefeated.
Where we celebrate past success while looking to a bright future. There's a youth movement in Washington, and they're ready to take the reins, led by a fire. It's a new day, new dawn, no longer the laughing stock. It's time to take command.
Yes, sir. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And it's Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Hump Day. You know what that means. I'm with my guy. South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer. What up, Will?
Sean, Happy New Year.
Come on now. Merry Christmas, happy birthday, all of it.
All of it. Today is the start of the new NFL season.
Yep.
Not only are we doing this with a new head coach and a new general manager, two guys and new folks in charge, but most importantly, since 1999, Sean, we entered free agency without Dan Snyder having anything to do with our franchise. Our Redskins, our football team, our Commanders, Dan Snyder free. Finally.
God, about daggone time. Come on. BW, this is Commander. That's huge. Nothing compares to the signing of the Pittsburgh Express. Marcus Mariota. The used QB. Hey,
it is.
We're going. Yeah, it is. We're definitely going to talk about the impact that has on top of everything else. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we are happy that you are here with us on Washington Football Weekly. Free agency is upon us, and I mean, if you haven't already can't already tell, we are ecstatic about all of the things that are going on. But I mean, first and foremost, I mean, we know we're going through this. We've been absolutely busy, but before we dive into all of those guys, Will, I don't know that I expected any of this, even in like my wildest dreams, where I was like, all right, we're going to get like 10 people maybe, but like what, 13? Is that the number we're up to? 13, 14?
Yeah, I did not expect this volume this quickly. Like, I know they had holes to fill, but part of the reason we're going into free agency, we kept talking about what we want to talk about, and I was being so conservative with you on like, I don't know what to say because I don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what Adam Peters is going to do as the head man in charge with Dan Quinn. And Adam Peters in his press conference as general manager said that the free agency supplements the draft, but you build a roster through your draft. So I did not feel like it would be a whole like spending spree. But it's been a spending spree.
Yeah. But
it's been a very calculated spending spree. So I'm going to say that and let you get your 2 cents in.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely what I want to focus on, is the fact that not only, I mean, we've literally done this in the best way possible. Not only have we got a bounty of guys, I mean, 10 plus like we talked about, but then also, like you mentioned, the fact that it's just, I mean, I don't want to say nickel and diamond, but you have a couple guys on 1-year deals for, $5 million. You have a couple guys on, hey, it was 2 or 3 years, and they're still getting $8, $9, $10 million. And you're just sitting here like, ooh. And not just the Trey Turners, not the bad people, not the Norwell and all those guys. You have quality guys that can start immediately on your team. it kind of points to exactly what we've been wondering. Where does Adam Peters, where does Dan Quinn and Josh Harris, what direction are they going? And they're showing it. I mean, the cards are on the table right now, and I'm gonna tell you something, Will. I'm telling you, I don't want to play Madden. I don't want to get out here too early, but I'm starting to put some of these players on that depth chart on that list, and I'm kind of like, we might be some contenders. Not to get ahead of myself, but
I mean, so like, I mean, Misador is correct where he's like, we got abundance of cap space and we've got a locker room that needs some overhauling. And so absolutely, like, yeah, we did, but they also said they weren't going to spend all of it. And we were hearing from the local reporters were saying, look for a lot of short-term deals. And I'm thinking to myself, like, the guys that are going to take 1-year deals are going to be folks that are like coming off injury, that old and needing to prove it. So I'm like, what type of quality are we going to get? And they've added a couple of those contracts, but they've also been given still short-term deals to guys that are instant impact, instant starters. Where it's going to be like, we're going to give you some money, and you're going to help us turn this around, but we're not going to lock into you for 6 years like we did Landon Collins. Now, yes, his contract was structured to get out after 3, but regardless, we're not putting those numbers out there that look, outrageous. And so it's been very exciting. I've had to have Twitter refreshing every 20 minutes because I'm like, what did I miss? What did I miss?
Right.
All the time. There's been so much, and there's still more to come because there's guys out there that are probably going to fit, including some that just signed in the last 4 hours. And so it's like they're doing work. Here's my thing. These guys can start signing as of 4 p.m., which means they're going to start flying into Ashburn for press conferences and to ink. How are you going to introduce all these guys? Like Zach Ertz just did his intro press conference.
Today. Right.
You're going to do like line these guys up at a big table and say, go ahead, ask away. Like, how do you do this?
Free for all.
There we go. Misador, he said it. The Washington Contenders. Here we go.
Our time is now. Let's go. But I love it, though. I love it. And the fact that they're getting all these guys in here and making all these moves. And to your point, this is 2 days. It's in 2 days. The first 2 days. And we are really putting it out there. Honestly, I'm eager to see exactly how and where each of these guys fit and who we might need to look into further down the line. But Will, let's get right into it. Have the signings filled the team's needs, Will? What are your thoughts on this, man? Do you think we hit the holes that we had?
For now, yeah. I mean, they've certainly been hitting, so what folks don't know is Monday morning, I sent Sean a message and I said, okay, I'm thinking there's going to be some signings. Here's what I'd like to see fixed. I want to sign a center. I want to sign a tackle, and I want to sign a defensive end. Well, in the first 3 hours of free agency, we filled 2 of those.
Immediately.
Yeah, and we still haven't filled the one. So, but we saw, so they went after some of the positions where we really had some big holes on the defense. Really had some big holes on the defensive line at linebacker, and they've attacked them. And they've brought in, special teams has brought in some new players. So yeah, I mean they've filled a lot of needs. There's still some needs out there that we've got that are still, and we're going to get into it, so I don't want to spoil it. But what they've done is they brought in a collection of starters. They brought in a collection of rotational pieces. And what this is doing now, it's going to be causing the greatest draft flexibility out there.
Yes. Yep.
Now we don't need to say we have to get this position now to solidify. We have to get this position next to solidify. We still have 2 big needs that they haven't taken care of, but there's going to be an opportunity now to go after best player available in the draft, which is going to make your roster even better because it's not, oh my gosh, we have to get a linebacker because we don't have anyone on our roster. We filled it.
Which is where we've been over the last several years, trying to say, okay, how are we going to feel? And we come to the draft where it's like, we are wanting these guys to be day one starters. And we want them more now, bring them in so that they can learn but now like you said, that frees us up. Now we are able to do this. And that's why I think, yes, we have filled these needs, because you look at it, small needs that we didn't really think about. Special teams, we'll talk about that. Things that we pulled in where it's like, oh, okay. Even needs that where you're sitting here like, I didn't even know we needed that. Okay, that works perfectly. I liken it to a puzzle, and you're looking at a puzzle from over top, and you get the outside, and you're like, okay, and you start to see the picture that they're trying to paint. And to your point, all right, now we have linebackers. We can still afford to get one. It's not a problem in the draft, but now we have that position. Now we don't. Now it's not the need, like we have to reach for it. Some Anton said on one of the shows the other day, we are accustomed to being the team that makes a move because we see another team make a move. Oh, they got the quality linebacker, so we get the next guy. And it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So I love that we're direct, we're deliberate, we're in that direction. So I absolutely think we filled our needs to a point, to an extent. Obviously, quarterback we haven't filled, and maybe potentially get an extra wide receiver or edge or some things like that. But it lends to kind of also what kind of scheme they might run.
Yeah.
Because now we talked about on defense, we haven't had a linebacker this good, one linebacker this good in all of the Ron Rivera, but now we have these two, and now you're sitting here thinking of, okay, where last year I didn't want to have any linebackers on the field. Now I'm like, let's run 2-3 linebackers out there, man.
Yeah.
Let's have those two guys here. Let Jamin Davis run free. This opens things up for us all together to where you're kind of like, oh, we can play with this.
Right. Well, and you know what it also does? It talks about how at every stop for Dan Quinn, he changes his defense. And in Dallas, he didn't play 3 linebackers. And I remember when we were watching Dallas play it, I messaged you and I said, you know what? Look at this. They run a 4-2-5. And they've got a top defense. Maybe we don't need to be getting all these linebackers, and we just need to have, whatnot. But by signing a middle linebacker that we did, that kind of changes things. Like, are we now going to be more of a 4-3? Or is it going to be, with some of the additions of a certain safety that we signed, is he going to be able to disguise coverages, move guys in, change packages, move things around where you move a linebacker like Jamin Davis? They're talking about being a lot more in pass rush situations, and so but you've got these other 2 guys now who can play linebacker. You bring in this new safety that we just signed, who's more of a box safety. So now he can slide up. Is it going to allow for a lot of creativity for Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.? With this stuff? And so that's what I think is exciting, because to your point, we didn't just recreate the Dallas defense. We didn't just say, this is what I did in Dallas, and now I need to find guys who can do it in Washington. They've gone out and signed players for this, whatever schemes they're creating right now. They're finding guys to fit it, and that's what's really exciting.
Yeah, they're mix and match, and it's funny that, and we'll get into this when we talk about the defense, that we picked up 2 Carolina Panthers guys after the coach that actively tried to make us the Commanders all these years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, these are the guys you couldn't get. You know what I mean? So, but look, let's go into some of the picks that we got. 3-3-5 is the way the division will allow Quinn to do what he does best.
Potentially, the only problem there is Payne and Allen don't really fit a 3 down front. But there's going to be other guys you can mix and match around them so that they're playing. I don't know the actual one techniques here. I don't know that football acumen, but I do know that they're not exactly the same leave them in space type eaters, that type of stuff. Yeah. But yes, the versatility though is correct.
Yeah. So that's definitely something to look at. But to that point, like we were saying, it spreads things open. Now you can think of, we can play with this. We can potentially do that, as opposed to we have to have all of our big guys up on the field, because if it doesn't happen, we're not going to work. Look, let's move on to the offense, talk about some of the moves we made. And I'm not going to dive into all of these, but I want to hit some of the big ones. You talked about O-line and center. We got Tyler Biadasz from the Cowboys. Then also getting what was the other lineman that we?
His name is Nick Allegretti.
Yes, Nick Allegretti, picked him up at guard. this and then also Austin Eckler at running back. Now you start to think, even though we've heard a lot of this air raid offense type thing, this seems like okay, we're trying to get some running game going. We have Brian Robinson and they seem to be clear they're good with him. Now you bring in a dual threat back, somebody that's kind of like Gibson but a lot better. And shout out to Gibson, who we didn't re-sign him. He's over in New England right now. But I like this direction we're going from a former running back. I like that we're putting these guys in here. And real quick, did they re-sign Arma? Is he still on the squad?
I don't know. Not that I've heard of yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting your grounded pound just yet, Sean.
Listen. We're looking that way, man. I'm looking my chops, man.
This is not the Hogs 3.0. It's not happening just yet.
But what do you think about? I mean, these moves and kind of direction we've gone on offense.
Yeah, well, one thing that you'll see we've done on majority of these picks, there's a connection with the coaching staff. Yeah. Somebody on our staff has worked with this player before. At another location, and you start with Austin Eckler and Anthony Lynn are what is his title? Assistant head coach, running game coordinator. I don't know what he is, but so he was in San Diego when they were the San Diego Chargers. I didn't. That's not a stutter.
Right.
And he had Austin Eckler on his team, kind of discovered him and played him, and so this is an exciting signing. It allows Eckler's coming off an injury. He's at the little bit more of the tail end of his career, but he gets to play the role of two things, of a third down back, but also he's got a knack for the end zone. And if Brian Robinson has any type of issues throughout the next season, we got a guy who can step right in. We're not going to a 6th-round draft pick from a year ago, who has showed some promise, but not delivered, enough, hasn't been given enough opportunity. So there's some quality behind there. The offensive line moves, I think, are really important because look at who we have to friggin' play, man. Look at what the Dallas defense is and their front four. Look at what Philly is. Look at what the Giants just did. Yeah, those two bookends for the Giants now. Like, we have to fix our tackle situation because we've got some issues. So they recognize, we say it all the time. The NFC East is tough. And every team has money and they put a lot into their rosters to improve, and there's expectations of every team that they're going to improve from year to year and be competitive. And so we put something into that. And I love the fact that if we're going to be drafting a rookie quarterback, we took care and brought in a veteran center to help ease that transition. So these are just smart moves that they're making.
Yeah. I love them. And obviously the other offensive move we made was getting Marcus Mariota. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But look, I was telling somebody the other day, Will, to me, this kind of feels like when your parents, they got you wanted a gift at Christmas and they couldn't get it that year, but then maybe they got it the year later or another year. You're kind of like, I don't really want it now. You know what I mean? I wanted it before. Like, I love Marcus Mariota coming out of college. And when he was in the league, he was at, Tennessee. I wanted him here. Now I'm kind of like, he's traveled. He's a journeyman. He's been in a lot of different places. I don't know that I necessarily want him. I love what he brings to the table. One question I think we can ask is this kind of, let us see into their minds as far as what direction they're going, because we know
that was the question. That was the question that I couldn't remember this afternoon. I'll put it on the banner.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, when you see a Marcus Mariota, he's not he's a type. All right, he is that RPO. He's gonna run his draws. He's gonna run, the different read option type plays and the option type plays. So, and he's going to throw, but he's going to be very mobile with that. That to me seems like what everybody's saying, the JD5, Jaden Daniels and all that type of stuff, even though Drake May did run some RPO in North Carolina and fast-paced offense. People didn't stop sleeping on that, but we're good. But I mean, does this lend to that? I mean, it's easy to make that connection, but does this mean anything?
Oops, I hit the wrong one. Sorry. Well, first off, I'll say this. So you and I are on different feelings here, different directions. I think this is great. I think Marcus Mariota sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like this signing. I don't like him. I never thought he was going to be very good coming out of Oregon. It was just too much of the spread, too much of the ball going this way and not this way that I was like, I don't see this. And I felt I was vindicated when the Titans got him. I'm like, this guy's going to bust. And then the fact that he gave up on the Falcons as a starter. Now, in his defense, Arthur Smith really was not doing good for that franchise. Sure. So I can see him being like, I'm not getting better here. This was my last chance to start, and you're not helping me, so I'm out. But he is a backup that can come in. He's been in the league a while. He can help mentor a rookie quarterback. I think that is important. Mm-hmm. When the signing happened, I immediately said, Jaden Daniels. That's who it's going to be. I've kind of backed off a little bit because of two things. One that you said, Drake May has some athleticism. Dude played basketball in high school. Not that matters, but what I'm saying is he's not Peyton Manning back there. Even though I like to joke and call him a stiff, he's not Peyton Manning back there.
Not a statue. Right?
Exactly. So that it shouldn't just mean that we're definitely getting Jaden Daniels. It could allude to it if the stuff that Mariota is used to or has seen translated into the pros and working with the Eagles and coming from that type of offense that they ran. But again, Mariota was in Philly. Brian Johnson, our new whatever position he is, again, he's got a different title, passing game coordinator.
Right.
He brings him in. And so there's a connection there. So
yeah.
I think it's more they were looking for a veteran backup to bring in as opposed to this guy is going to allow us to run that type of offense and mentor Jaden Daniels. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And then, and we've, I believe, discussed this, the Zach Ertz signing. Have we discussed your thoughts on this?
We didn't. I've taken my hiatus because I'm calling too many lacrosse games these days. So it's a cheap one. 1 year up to $5 million if he hits all of his bonuses. I think it's a good flyer. I mean, he was productive in Cliff's offense, which is good. I mean, it does cause me a little bit of concern that he signed with Detroit and never was able to get off their practice field for their Super Bowl playoff run. Yeah. So that was a little bit like, I actually thought he'd make it. But I think he's worthy of taking a flyer on, and just seeing what he can produce out there and see, can he, he doesn't need to be our every down tight end, but can he still find holes? Can he still get open? Can he help out, that rookie quarterback?
Exactly. Situational.
Yeah.
Him to be in there to get that third down, almost be like a Jason Witten later in his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean? And I look at it, when I look at the whole situation with Detroit, is the fact that I remember thinking at that time, like, wow, are they even able to do this? Get this type of guy? And even though he didn't make it on the field, it's still like the fact that they didn't get our guy. They didn't try to poach us for talent to play in that game. They went for Ertz. And like you said, the guy knows how to do. We've seen how he torches us. He's torched us over the years for Philly. So we know how good he can be. But like you said, I think this is great. I definitely think this is situational. And for how much we got him for, it's just, there's a theme, and we're going to talk about it when we go to defense about, getting these guys on these flyers, but it's almost like keeping with the theme of the players that we have on here. Like, you all have to prove it. Everybody is on probation right now, and let's see what you got. Let's bring these guys in, because another thing that the Zach Ertz thing does, like you said, he was trying to go to the Detroit Lions, who were almost in the Super Bowl. That's a championship team. He came to us. He could have gone to anybody. Like, he came to us. And when we switched to defense, I'm going to go right into that. Another guy that we talked about, we made a great move today after not having linebackers for years. We ended up getting Mike Wagner. This guy.
Bobby Wagner.
Linebacker. Bobby Wagner. I'm thinking.
Who? You got to edit that out.
No, I will. Pittsburgh Steelers safety Mike Wagner, NFL Hall of Famer, I believe.
I don't know who that is.
I was watching that earlier today. Bobby Wagner. You know why I messed it up? Because I still can't believe that we were able to get him. Will, you and I have talked about this. every year over the last couple of years, I've said, let's get him on a 1-year deal. Let's get him on a 1 year. If for anything else, just to have him as a veteran guy at house, to have him now on a 1-year thing. I mean, yes, that to me says not only that we're looking in the right direction, but that he looks at us and he says, I could take a chance on these guys. And, you know, like,
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he chose to come here because of two things. One, if you've seen, his whole career has been played on the West Coast. He's bounced from Seattle to San Francisco. But most importantly, when you're at the tail end of your career, you want one of two things. You either want to get paid or you want to go to a championship contender. We are doing neither of those two. Now, we're improving our roster, but we're not overpaying guys. So the fact that he said that he was going to come here shows it's been a theme from all these guys, especially on defense signing, and it's the Dan Quinn effect. And it's I want to play for that guy. He puts other players in situations that makes them have success. Zach Ertz said it in his press conference. He said, you get Adam Peters, you get Dan Quinn, you get some of the Cliff Kingsbury. Those are guys you want to be a part of. And that's huge. And you're seeing a guy like Bobby Wagner decide like, yep, I'm going to go join Washington and help Dan Quinn get this started, get this going. That's tremendous. And I'm very surprised that he came here. Not going to lie.
And even when somebody sent me the message earlier, I kind of looked at them and I said, is this a joke? You know what I mean? Because we had talked about him over and over and over, and I just didn't think that he was looking in this direction. But to your point, the connections. And we've seen that all throughout this, Rob, the defense, all these signings. Dorian Armstrong, picking him up from Dallas. Us getting Dante Fowler. We know that connection where he's been with Dan Quinn. You know, the fact that we've been able Jeremy Quinn. Now, I don't know the connection. I mean, that's the commander
Jeremy
connection
Quinn.
that I talked.
Jeremy Quinn, that's our friend from Herndon High School, Jeremy Reeves.
Jeremy Reeves, but Chin.
Chin, Jeremy Chin. Okay, I thought you said Quinn.
Yeah, which is still I did say Quinn, but yeah, okay. Jeremy Chin. It's an interesting day. All right, yes, Jeremy Chin. But we're making moves on defense, daggone it, Will. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. All right, so the Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin signings are another one where they both said they wanted to go play for Dan Quinn. You know, they've seen what he's done with others. Chin is that type of chess piece that Quinn loves. He used in Dallas a little bit and he used to run 3 safeties, and so he's going to be able to move Chin up in the box, take him back. He can play either safety position, but his skills are up towards the line of scrimmage. At one point, I think it was last year, he was leading the league in basically like defensive plays where the defense got a positive yardage on the offense, or made the offense have a negative yardage on it. So he makes impactful plays around the line of scrimmage. The only thing with Chin that we have to remember is in every season he plays in 12 or 13 games. He never plays, and now that you just added a 17th game, he doesn't make 17 games. So he gets hurt in every single season, but he's certainly an impactful player. And Freddie Louvu going into this, and this may be my favorite signing of free agency. When all of a sudden I saw the report by Ben Standig that this is a guy they could target, I was like, that is exactly who I would love to bring into Washington. I just see him. It just reminds me of when he played with my favorite defensive coordinator in the league, which is Steve Wilks, and all the plays he made. How many different fumbles did he pick up and run back? How many sacks did he play? How many plays did he have? And in every season, he has a lot of tackles and he has some sacks. So he's just a very active player. And I'm just sitting there going like, Dan Quinn with Frankie Louvu, man, he's going to unleash this guy. So I love the signings that we've had so far with the Panthers. You talked about the Dallas guys. I'm gonna let you talk more and then come back to me about the other players.
I mean, obviously with the Dallas guys, then I was gonna say the other guy, Cleveland Farrell. I was gonna ask you what you felt about that. I'm not as familiar with him, but I've heard, nice things. What are you thinking?
So first off, with the signing of Cleveland Farrell and with the signing of Dante Fowler, we once again on our defensive line have 4 first-round draft picks. That's how we do it in DC. We do. Our defensive line has to be first-round draft picks.
Oh yeah.
The least excited pickup is probably Cleveland Farrell. He was overdrafted by the Raiders. He was in San Francisco. But one thing with him I think you think about is don't look at sacks because that's not his game. If you're looking for a pass rusher, that's not the type of player. But he sets the edge. He's very active in the run game. And so he's going to be part of a rotational piece, there. The two Dallas guys I'm actually pretty excited about. Yeah. Dorrance Armstrong was picked very early on. It was actually sort of when this happened, most of the reporters, Kime, Standig, JP Finley were like, yeah, we figured this one was going to happen because he has spoken out how much he enjoyed playing for Dan Quinn. And he was one of those guys, he had like close to 8 sacks in the last 2 years, and he played in about 40% of the snaps. So now, first off, that's more than Chase Young's been doing for the last 2 years. So I'll say, Now, is he a product of attention being on Micah Parsons and Dexter Lawrence? Could be, probably. But you don't just get 8 sacks because no one's paying attention to you. You got to be making plays. Right. And then Dante Fowler's the guy early on when they hired Dan Quinn. I said, let's watch for this name. I read that, Dante Fowler says, I will probably continue my career wherever Dan Quinn goes. And what I love about that signing is he's a rotational piece. But now when we talked earlier about the draft, this allows us between some of these players that we have, plus you added Jamin Davis on our roster, to have some flexibility in the draft to now. Originally, I was thinking we had to pick a defensive end with one of our second-round picks. You might not have to now. What if you can wait until the third for someone who drops or someone that is a more of a project that can be part of the rotation here? And what if that now allows us to go get some stud wide receiver in the second round, say the dude Thomas from LSU, a big guy, or Ladd McConkey now. Like now you could go get a wide receiver in the second round and impact the offense because you don't have to fill that need at defensive end. Yes, absolutely. Offensive tackle, whoever. Yeah, Jack said that. Yeah, that's a must. That's like quarterback, offensive tackle. My first, you gotta fill this. But getting someone like Fowler, getting someone like Armstrong, he's going to be able to provide that flexibility. And I think that's important that we may not be so predictable when it comes to the draft.
Yes. And another thing that I think that one of the things that we've wanted over the last couple of years, especially with our team being so young, is that veteran leadership. You got Bobby Wagner, you got Frank Louvu. These guys have been in there, but then you also got Dorrance Armstrong, who knows the system. That's experience in this. Now you've got a bunch of guys that are coming in here that are very familiar with, the scheme and what's going on and how things are done. And now you're looking at some of these guys that we've had. I've heard a lot of talk. You mentioned it before towards the end of last year, Quan Martin, and how, this is somebody that we really are expecting to have a big rise this next year. Him, we talked Jamin Davis, a lot of these young guys that might have been struggling, even Emmanuel Forbes, if we can get him to eat some more, these guys, I really am expecting them to have breakout years. And now that you have a lot of these veteran leadership that can not only take the pressure off on the field, but they can kind of take a little bit of the pressure off the field. You know what I mean? Help them with the media, help them with, how to live your life off the field and what it is you need to do to be a true NFL player.
You mean you don't think they should be like Kwame Brown, where he ate Popeyes every single day after getting drafted by the Wizards because he didn't know how to cook?
Oh, good old God.
Number one, eating Popeyes every day.
Good, great.
That's going to be great for your body.
Right? Oh, man. Let's see.
Yeah, no, but you're so right. It's a great point, Sean, about just like you're building. They talked about culture. They talked about building things and doing things the right way. And they brought in a bunch of guys who are gonna be, who can live that and be impactful on the field as well. So it's really exciting, these moves they've made.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Me too, man. Me too. Let's go. Yo, but we also, let's go here to special teams. And in a place where one, obviously Cheeseman is out, so we got a new long snapper. But before we go to that, let's go to kicker. Now, we've had issues with Sly, obviously. His extra points are erratic, but he's elite from 50 plus. Like he seems to kill from there.
Yeah.
We knew there was an issue. I mean, we knew we could, if we could get a kicker, we should get one. But I didn't even know we were active in this area. Did you hear anything about this?
I hadn't heard anyone talk about it. I mean, I had no idea what we were going to do at kicker, but yeah, where's it? Brandon McManus? I had no idea that he was a target. Right. Yeah, it's interesting because you said it perfectly. Sly was pretty good from 50 plus, which, you know, if that's turning into the league, you need to have a leg and you need to give it a shot. And if it's a 55-yarder, well, we expect that's a 50-50 chance of going in, you know, and we're going to, and he could hit those. His struggles were extra points and close field goals. And some of the shots are like, he can't miss that. How'd he miss that? And so that's important. Brandon McManus is a little bit of the opposite. He is like, I think was it maybe 47 or 49 or 47, 49 from below 50. So the guy's deadly, beneath 50, not as much from deeper, which that has me a little bit concerned. I think he played in Denver for a while. So he probably, was helped by the fact that he, had that altitude, helping him out a little bit. But the idea being that he can be a little bit more consistent below 50 to help us out, I think is kind of the goal here. But I'm not thrilled with this pick. I'm not like, we got Jake Elliott, or Justin Tucker, that type of talent. But, hopefully he works out for us.
Right. Well, we'll definitely see. Now, we also got, like I said, the long snapper. For those of you, who watched last year, you watched Cheeseman dribble those balls back to the kicker and how many times. I mean, that's part of the reason why Sly was having issues, because he couldn't get a consistent snap back there. Yeah. So obviously we've moved on. Now we've got Tyler Ott, and I think they were rivals, maybe in like high school or something.
Oh yeah, him and Tress Way.
Yeah, so that's kind of a little familiarity there, but I'm loving this, man. We're addressing issues and we're making moves, man. We're not just saying, all right, let's hope it gets better and just keep it going. Like, this is a big one for us because of how now, if we're getting this kicker, we're getting somebody that's close to Tress Way, and then Tress Way is the holder. So we need to make sure that that's all on point. It's a small thing, but it's huge because field position and everything comes from this area. And you know what I love to say, man, it's all about complimentary football, baby. All right. We got to help each other. All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the happiest person has to be Tress Way, because the amount of times he got crappy snaps back to him last year that he had to figure out and so that Sly could even just get the kick off. I mean, he worked some wonders back there. Can you have Pro Bowl holders? Is that a thing? Because he should have won it if it was. But you got to shout out Nikki Javala of the Washington Post for coming up, finding that stat of Tyler Ott being rivals with Tress Way in high school. Like, where does that come from? How in the world did she figure that out? But most importantly, golly, I can't grade long snappers. But he's played for 3 seasons with our new special teams coach, Larry Izzo. It's the whole thing we talked about. All these signings have connections elsewhere. So it's people that they trust. And I mean, I'm at the point with this coaching staff in this front office where I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on everything that they do.
Yeah. And look, they're showing improving, like right now, like with every move that they're making, it just seems like it's either equal or above what we had. And it's just like, they're not only addressing it, they're meeting the needs and moving on. And I love this. One of the things that we've discussed, we're gonna move on from this. One of the things that you and I have discussed is, we're making moves and bringing guys in. And we kind of had a list before of who was going to be here, who was going to stay. Obviously, we saw Leno gone. Sadiq Charles just got picked up by the Titans.
You think so?
The Patriots got Gibson. Logan Thomas is gone. So we've addressed a lot of the guys that we didn't know if they were going to stay, got rid of them, and moved on. But there's some guys that we still didn't know what was going to happen, back and forth. One of the guys that excelled in the Ron Rivera era, Cam Curl, we didn't. It's kind of a little iffy. We saw his little, social media post where because we didn't extend him, and he kind of put up the deuces.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying that there was rumors that Seattle might be working on a deal with him. I mean, is there a market for Cam Curl, or was he just Washington good?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but that the safety position had kind of got oversaturated this year.
Yeah.
Towards the end, a couple guys got cut. Denver had to cut their safety, and so I think Cam Curl went from being one of the top players of the position to just being one of the players in the position. And I'm not so sure that's a spot that has been very actively pursued, or if it has, it's been shorter, less money, type deals. I think the guy that went to Philly, Gardner Johnson, he got a pretty substantial contract, multiple years, more than he hit more than $10 million per year. But yeah, so I mean, I heard a rumor that Seattle was looking at him, but it hasn't happened in the last day, so it hasn't been announced since I saw that rumor. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. I mean, I think we signed his replacement when we got Jeremy Chin. So I think we kind of are moving on from him. I can't imagine at this point with him and then bringing back Reeves, there's room in our locker room for what he does. And honestly, Sean, I'm okay with it. I'll give Ab the credit when he said, you said, is he Washington good? We don't know with this coaching staff what he would turn into. And I think he's a good player, so I think good players will translate. But, yeah, okay, so we lost a good player. We picked up good players from other teams, as well. And that's just kind of the nature of the business.
Yeah, when I look at Cam Curl, I look at kind of like I look at Antonio Gibson. Like, yeah, I like him, man. I can see there's ways that we can make him successful, but he's not making other teams shaking their boots. Nobody is saying, man, damn, if we shut down Antonio Gibson, and in the same way about Cam Curl, like they're not scared to throw in his direction,
right,
or scared he's gonna like drop him or something like that. So, Roku Sports Talk, what up, man?
Alex is on. Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want him to burn that bridge, which it seems like he kind of threw up the deuces and kind of seemed like he was leaning towards like I'm done with y'all. But I mean, it was good for when it lasted over here, but I think it's best for both parties to kind of keep him moving. What is this? I just saw that. Yeah.
See, this is why you don't need Cam Curl, buddy. Because what all y'all don't know is I said when next year my first Commanders jersey is going to be a Quan Martin because Sean was so angry that they didn't draft Cody Mock, and I sang this guy's going to turn into something else.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Well,
they missed him by one pick, Will.
They did. I know. We could have used him. I'm not going to argue on that one. We certainly
been one step ahead. Let's go.
I think when Cam put that message out on social media, I think he was told by the organization they're probably going to move in a different direction, and he's free to kind of pursue his own things. And I just think it's part of that. It's part of the business. He was a good player for us. He was a great find in the 7th round. But it's a new day. It's a new dawn.
Very true. Very, very true. And again, to keep it on that whole question of what one player or what bringing some players in means for others. We talked about Marcus Mariota a little bit earlier, bringing him in. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett. I think he got picked up by New England.
He did.
I think he's back. He's back home in New England. Mm-hmm. And so now Marcus Mariota is our backup quarterback. For all intents and purposes, we're going to get a quarterback at 2. It looks more and more like that. What does all this mean for my guy? What does it mean for Sam Howell? Look, for me, I've tried hard to defend and to say my guy and say, look, this is it. This is it. When I saw this Marcus Mariota move, it made it clear for me. Marcus Mariota is a specific type of quarterback, and that they want that moveset. They want that skill set. He's the same, just like why he went to Atlanta and that worked. Why he didn't have as much success with the Raiders. He needs to have that RPO skill, fast-paced, like he had in Oregon. That's what's going to work. That's why he hasn't had success throughout his years. So when they brought him here, I kind of knew, okay, that's what they're going to do. Because there are other quarterbacks that are kind of on that level, a Jameis Winston, a Mitch Trubisky, or some of the guys that are just kind of, if we're going to go to a just regular backup, or even Jacoby. For me, it kind of, if we were going to stay Sam, we would have kept Jacoby because they're the same type. And so that's why it leads me to believe that with Marcus Mariota coming, Sam might be going. He might be going, because if we're going to get quarterback, it's hard to justify 3 quarterbacks on there. And I'm like you. I think Marcus Mariota had a short little window in his career, and now he's not. He can be a backup quarterback, but he's not going to do above and beyond to win you the game. But he can help you in those things. So I still believe Sam could be better, but I don't know that they would bring this guy in and then have him be 3rd string quarterback. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think it's fair to Sam to go from 17 game starter to holding a clipboard and you're inactive on game days.
Mm-hmm.
That part I don't think is very fair. But I don't think it's out of the question that we keep him on our roster. I think you're right. Bringing in Mariota shows that they wanted a veteran to mentor the rookie quarterback that they bring in. And Sam is not a veteran. He's played in the league for 2 seasons. He's played 1 full season. That's not a veteran status. They wanted someone who's been through this to really be that person in his ear, help him out, that type of stuff. That's why I don't think Mariota's really that either. I mean, I'd much rather have someone like a Jacoby Brissett, but hats off to him for saying, give me a chance to go compete somewhere. But that was the direction that they were going in. And I think it's certainly worth looking into at this point, seeing what you can get for Sam Howell. Seeing that Mac Jones only netted a 6th-round pick, that doesn't really excite me. But if I'm correct here, I'm not sure, but I do believe Mac Jones' contract is higher. And so if you're taking on a larger contract, Sam Howell is still a small contract for 2 more years. That changes the draft value position. And so if you can get a 4th-round pick for Sam, I think you do it to improve the roster. Think about if you trade Sam Howell before the draft and you're able to select like a Ben Sinnett as your tight end, or you go draft a running back like a Bucky Irving in the 4th round, or whatever running back you like. If you're able to put that into
or Marshawn Lloyd,
Lloyd from USC, no,
you don't like
no, he's a South Carolina guy. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But if you are able to put the Sam Howell's spot on the roster with a 4th-round pick or something like that, even a 5th-round pick, I wouldn't love that, into a position that's going to play next year on the team. That's a huge value there. So I think it's worth exploring into. I don't think anything's going to happen tomorrow. I would be shocked if all of a sudden on Thursday, Friday, we see that Sam's been flipped. I think closer to the draft, maybe on even draft night, depending on how things, are turning out in the draft, or afterwards, if a team does not get a good backup quarterback, Jack's saying that is to wait on that, then they may be willing to give you a 2025 pick because they didn't get the draft, the young quarterback they wanted. I look at a team like Denver. Who is taking snaps in Denver right now?
Nobody.
And I don't think they're necessarily going to do that. But I mean, is Minnesota really thinking about going into week 1 with Sam Darnold as their 17-game starter? Really? Or are they just positioning themselves to go up in the draft and get somebody? Right. But there's going to be a couple teams that Los Angeles Rams, they could certainly use someone quality behind Stafford. And Sam Howell could be that. And to them, leading up to the draft or afterwards, giving up next year's to get a solid backup could really show some value for him.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Jack said Mark is going to quit on us like he did in Atlanta.
I know. I'll say this. I'll directly answer that. I think he was the starter in Atlanta. That was his last chance to prove it. Right. I don't want him to take a snap for us. I'd be thrilled. No. But like I'm saying, I don't like Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. I still have a soft spot for the guy. I don't want to have him in the game. And to that point, he's not our starter. I don't want him to be our starter. Like you, I don't necessarily want him to see the field unless it's already over in the game. You know what I mean? But he's going to help JD5.
How? By showing him he doesn't know where to throw the ball?
Oh, wow. In that system, he's going to help him because the way they work together, I'm telling you, watch it. We'll see. I look, what we need to do, we're talking about helping quarterbacks. We need to keep Sam Howell and get Drake May so they can help each other.
I'm leaving
and just
the
keep
chat.
North Carolina here. All right.
I'm leaving it.
Tar Heel Nation, baby. Here we go.
Leave the studio.
He's a vet, Will. Hey, well,
A
yeah,
vet who sucks.
Yeah, right. You can
No,
still be a
sorry,
vet
I'll
just
back,
because
I'll
you've been
back
in the
off
years.
a little bit.
Look, he's a commander now. The dream team, baby. Oh man. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys.
We haven't talked about who's still available.
Have we?
And who we missed out on.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Who's still available? Will, let's go. Let's go there. I mean, right? I didn't see it. I didn't write it up there. All right, my bad.
Oh, we skipped. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we said no. Not all the holes have been filled, and there, obviously there's going to be certain things, leading up to the draft. So it's not like I think we're going after a quarterback, but we've only addressed the interior part of our offensive line, and I'm still very worried about our tackle positions with what the Giants have done. Getting Brian Burns with Kayvon Thibodeau, who just seems to crush us, with what Philly has on their defensive line. So I think we need to do some work on the offensive line. I would love to bring in one tackle. Because I want to draft a left tackle. Jack said that. Second round pick. I want us to go get a left tackle, but I don't think I want it to be Tyron Smith. I'm not going to lie.
That's what everybody keeps talking about.
Everybody, Alex is one, but how many games is he missing at this point? What's his age? I don't know if that's it for me. I mean, obviously I would still want to draft a left tackle to be his starter of the future. I just don't. I don't know if what's out there to really, Tyron Smith's there, Mekhi Becton. I've heard some things about Josh Jones, who I didn't know who he was, but Arizona drafted him, and Jonah Williams coming from the Bengals. And I think of all those four, Jonah Williams, the fact that he went and played right tackle for Cincinnati and played it better than he did left tackle, that might be the choice I go for, knowing that it also may cost a little bit more money to get a right tackle. But I think I may feel better going into the draft if we've done that.
Right. I do think we need to get a tackle in the draft, just like with all these other moves, so we don't have to be reaching. You know what I mean? Like going to the grocery store when you're hungry. You know what I mean? And I'll buy everything. You know what I mean? So I think we should try to address that. But to your point, I'm not looking. There's nobody in the draft where I'm like, it's not in the draft, but in free agency where I'm like, I want to reach on you, especially now that we've seen kind of how we've been shopping. We've been kind of real frugal, like I've been telling Alex, him and I going back and forth on the splashes. I'm like, look, you can have a big splash, one big one, or you can have 1,000 little ones, still has the same effect. You know what I mean? And I think we've been able to make more of an effect with the moves that we've been able to do. So, what he said? Alex said, I agree he's old and the injuries. I get it, but when healthy, he's a Pro Bowler. But I definitely understand why we shouldn't go this route. Now, we have the money, and if we wanted to make that splash, we could definitely do that on getting Tyron Smith. But is it worth it, Will? I guess that's the question. I mean, like you said, when he's healthy, Pro Bowler. But is he going to stay healthy? Right. Is it worth it to go make that, as opposed to saying, let's just put this is what we're going to focus on in the draft, like they were saying, the second round pick?
Right. Well, I'll say this. If you go out and spend money on Tyron Smith and you bring him in for what essentially is a 1-year deal or something like that, that wouldn't stop me from wanting to get a left tackle in the second round, or at the very latest, a third round, someone that can be groomed to take over, or if he gets hurt, it comes in immediately. But if you're able to get him and you feel he's going to help out your rookie quarterback, absolutely. Getting the best possible player at left tackle would be. I wouldn't hate it, but I wonder about that one. About if it would be worth it.
Yeah, and again, we have an opportunity to get fresh legs. Yeah, we don't need to reach on taking a chance on somebody that's also towards the end of his career. And that's one of the things I've loved that we have not done. Even though you get Wagner and all that, but that's 1-year deal. That's 1 year. You're saying specifically we want the best out of you for this 1 year. What happens after that? you decide essentially.
Right. Right.
But to the next point, who did you? Is there anybody that we missed out on? For
Well,
me,
I got other positions. Hold on.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I don't think we've solidified cornerback yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think we need to bring. I don't want to start with Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juste on the outsides, and who is that? Christian Holmes as our third corner. That scares the living daylights out of me. So I am still very much what's his name? Is Nate still listening? I'm going to say this. I'm going to repeat myself from 6 weeks ago. I want us to get Jordan Lewis of the Cowboys.
Okay.
I want because he can come in and play nickel. It is going to allow those two corners that we currently have to focus on the outside. St. Juste isn't having to switch between the outside to the slot, outside of the slot. Lewis can play it. He's played it very well in Dallas. He knows the system. Well, I say he knows the system, and now we just signed Wagner, so we could be running more of a 4-3. Who knows? But he's played it very successfully, so I'd be interested in that. I've also heard that they've checked in on Newsome of Cleveland for a trade. So I wouldn't mind that at all. And, let's come in here and start. So I'd like to see us go after it. And there's corners available. You talk about, what Cam Curl's market and what hasn't happened. Corners haven't had guys signed. People like Kendall Fuller is still available. J.C. Jackson's still available. Adoree Jackson, Stephon Gilmore. Avonte Maddox got cut by Philly. I don't think he's great, but he's got years of experience. So there's still that market still is out there for an upgrade because I really think we need one.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and to the point. And look, we've been talking about making these big splashes. Obviously, shout out to Alex. Always been talking about getting Snead or something. But to the point of us having youth, all of those guys being so young, do we need to get somebody that is, this caliber? I mean, there's a couple guys in free agency. I've seen like the Adoree Jacksons, who we've always been a fan of, but do we need to make a move on a high flyer, somebody like this that is a winner, or even go back to bring back Fuller?
Right. I think what it definitely shows into Alex's wish list of L'Jarius Sneed is now that they've brought in all these extra players and still have a boatload of cash, if they wanted to go after someone, and if the price dropped and you're giving up a second round pick, that could be worth it for Snead. Or if it goes down any lower, that could be worth whatever contract he's going to need to get. So maybe we're in a position to take on something like that and really solidify that position. So I wouldn't hate the idea now that we've made moves going into free agency. I would have told you we don't have the money to throw all that in on someone and still get all these players, but we've done it. So maybe.
Yeah. I definitely think that's somewhere where we do need to address, because I mean, there is so much youth now that has been back there. And I do like that we get Jeremy Chin, who has been around for some years, but he's still, pretty young, if I'm not mistaken. He's only 3-4 years.
Yeah, he's like 4 or 5. Yeah, he's coming off his rookie contract.
Right. So, what I mean? So that's definitely somewhere we do need to focus on. And that is somewhere I want to build up. I want to put some guys in there because of the fact that we can't just continue to bring young and just keep building on young. And I know Joe Witt Jr. is specialized in the corners and all that, but I do want some depth. And
I would take that too. What Alex is offering, I would certainly offer that.
Yeah.
Second and a fourth, without a doubt. I mean, I'd certainly take that. So I got one other position that I think is important. Jack hit it up earlier, so I wasn't ignoring you, Jack. I knew we'd get to this point, and that is improving our wide receiver position. We signed Jamison Crowder today. Good depth. We have no idea what they'll turn De'Ami Brown into. We know one thing he can do is run past people. So, if we can get a quarterback who can get him the ball, or an offensive coordinator who allows our quarterback to throw him the ball, maybe he can do that and make some impact. But 2 guys got cut today, and we got a lot of money that maybe we want to look into. They certainly could impact them. These would be, if Alex is paying attention, this one would be a splash, and that'd be getting from the Los Angeles Chargers, Mike Williams.
Yes.
It's kind of a luxury. You would ask, are we filling holes, or we could just, this would be a luxury signing, getting someone like Mike Williams. He's coming off an injury too, but he has produced. The other one is Hunter Renfrow was released by the Raiders. He's
What?
a slot receiver. He produces. He could be a rookie quarterback's best friend. There's still Tyler Boyd's out there. He's a bigger body receiver. I didn't think he'd be interested in our team because I think he wants to be featured more. But again, that wide receiver market is staying quiet so far. So if these guys are going to need to be going, then that would be an opportunity. Hollywood Brown's still out there. Would he fit in with what Cliff Kingsbury does?
Right.
I love two guys on the Giants. I've always liked Paris Campbell. He was with when he was with the Colts. And this guy, since he wouldn't have to be a starter for us all the time, I really like Sterling Shepard. Now, maybe with his knee injuries, he's a step slower, but he's always been dangerous to me. So I certainly think there's an opportunity to bring in, if you take away Mike Williams and Hunter Renfrow, guys who could make some serious cash, I do think there's an opportunity to bring in a free agent wide receiver that can make an impact. Or, as we've said, with some of these pickups on defense, now you can maybe turn that attention in the draft earlier than you normally would have. And I would love that. I would love going after, a second round wide receiver. That would be really exciting.
Yeah. And Alex, he's mentioned this to me multiple times. Would you trade for T. Higgins?
No. What do they want? And plus he wants a big contract, right?
That's it. And that's what I've said. He wants a big contract to go from being the number 2 to the number 1. And he's not going to have the benefit of having Jamar Chase over here, catching balls and all that type of stuff. Well,
especially because, sorry, I cut you off. I didn't mean to, but because we have Terry and Jahan, and he probably won't get the same volume. So if you're going to have to pay him number 1 wide receiver money when you can't give him the volume of catches for number 1 wide receiver, I'm not sure you're making a good investment. Whereas you pay that money for L'Jarius Sneed, he's your number 1 corner. He's the best guy on your roster.
Now this is interesting. Shout out to Jack saying bring back Samuel. You don't agree with this?
No.
For me, I kind of felt like Samuel and Antonio Gibson were kind of interchangeable. So I was like, all right, well, if you're letting go of one, maybe you'll bring in the other. But Austin Eckler can do all the same things that Samuel can do. So there's really not a market for him on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, he might have been our most productive wide receiver last year. I mean, he certainly was more productive than Jahan. If the coaching staff thinks that he can provide something what they're looking for, sure. I think I'd just rather see him going a different direction.
Well, right. He's not going to be the focal point that he once was, and bringing him back kind of almost seems like when we brought back J.D. McKissick after he almost signed with Buffalo that year, that they ended up going to the AFC Championship or something like that. Yeah. And he came back to us, and it was kind of like that was great for us. But then when you think about it in the grand scheme for him, it's like, why did you? And I think he got hurt halfway through the year. It was like, why did you come back here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, buddy. Now, who do you miss out on? I know for me, I talked to Alex. I talked to them guys about making the big splash. Mike Evans, I wanted him immediately. I mean, I wanted a big bodied guy. Guys had 1,000 yards every single year. First 10 years, I was like, we got money. Let's throw it this way and give our quarterback, whoever it is, a brand new toy to play with. That was the direction I wanted to go. Burns is another one, but these are bigger moves. One or the other would have sufficed for me, but definitely didn't make that. And so for those, after that kind of happened, I had mentioned in passing Saquon. After that stuff happened, I was kind of like, and then seeing what we did, I just kind of, no, I'm good. And then once we got Austin Eckler, for me, I kind of was. I'm straight. Like, I don't need any of these other big moves. And it's kind of like the more that happens, like each time I'm like, oh man, maybe should I think about somebody else? Nope. We just got Bobby Wagner. Oh, should I do that? Oh, nope. We just got this person. It's like, I'm straight. Like these moves are great. So with the exception of those couple early guys that I think we might have potentially missed on, I don't feel that bad about it. I'm pretty good. What do you think? Did we miss on anybody?
I can't believe that we didn't bring back Kirk Cousins and allow Sam Howell to learn from him for 2 years, and then Sam Howell we could have passed the baton to Kirk from Kirk to Sam, and we would have made the playoffs next year with Kirk.
Come on.
We'd win 9 games. I can't believe we wouldn't go do that. We wouldn't win 10 games, but we'd win 9 games. And then when we need him on third down to throw the ball 15 yards, he'd check it down for an 8-yard completion, and we'd be done for the season, and the season would end. No, the one that got me was when I saw Patrick Queen's contract to Pittsburgh. It was like 3 years and 41 I was like, whoa. I'd expected that he was going to get big money. And maybe he wanted it and it wasn't there. I also figured he would follow Mike McDonald in Seattle. Like, why would this guy unleashed you? Why would you not? Part of the reason I was not upset after seeing, like, I saw the Patrick Queen signing and go, dang, I would have done that, was I was listening to Chris Russell on 980, and he said Queen didn't start performing, and Nate would be able to tell us this really well, until they got Roquan Smith. Until they got a quarterback of the defense to make the calls, that unleashed Patrick Queen. And coming here, we wouldn't have that guy because Luvu's not that guy. Jamin's not that guy. I mean, we signed Jeremy Chin. Maybe, he could be that guy back there. But Quinn succeeded when he had a linebacker take charge. And that's why the Ravens re-signed Roquan and let him go. So I was kind of sitting there going, that's not us. That this wouldn't have been the place for him to do that. So, I mean, from a contract perspective, I was like, whew, I'd do that. But I'm not bent out of shape over it. Yeah. Now, did Mike Evans even hit free agency? Didn't they re-sign him? Didn't they extend him?
They extended him, but he did hit free agency. No, he didn't hit in this week. No, they extended him in the free agency in the franchise tag period.
Gotcha. Yeah, you were the pipe dream that you were chasing there.
Oh,
but he is good. He's very good. Yeah, Jack wanted Bryce Huff. He got some big money from Philly. I was surprised Philly gave him as much as he did.
Yeah, but they made moves, and I mean everybody except Dallas has actually been pretty active. In the
Dallas hasn't done anything.
They signed one person.
But that's what happens when you give Dak Prescott $80 million a year. You're going to have to let these guys go because you can't figure it out under the cap. I was surprised with Bryce Huff. There was a couple people who liked him a lot. He had he had a great season. He had over 10 sacks last year. But he's really like, who he is? He is Ndukwe Kalu. Do you remember that guy? Number 72. He comes in on third down, and your job is to rush the passer, blitz the passer. That's exactly what Chase Young's career needs to be.
Yes.
You give him $5 million. You say every third down you're coming in, just go after the quarterback. That's kind of what, when I was looking at the numbers and hearing from folks that Bryce Huff was, and he got a lot of money to be a situational pass rusher.
Hey, and if it fits, I am all good with it, man. Bring them in just to do that one thing and keep them moving.
Yeah.
Broker Sports said Bobby.
That would have been sweet.
It would have been.
That would have been sweet. If that was in the works as well, that certainly would have been sweet.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it for me. Honestly, like I said, each time I sit there and think maybe I'm missing somebody, maybe we can fill this, maybe we can fill that. They just keep coming up with different picks, different guys, and the fact that we're up to double digits first and foremost is crazy. But I mean, now we're up to like 13, 14 guys, and the majority of these guys are starting guys or at least high contributors. It's like, whoa, oh no, I'm good. No, I don't need anything. No,
right.
Let's go to the draft. I'm excited about that now. And that's what it does. It creates the excitement because now I don't have to pick for need as much, except certain positions maybe, but like we've been saying, now I can look at the guy, the best guy available, the athlete, I can play with this. This is where it gets beautiful, man. I love this.
It looks like we finally have professionals running our organization.
And they're smart.
And maybe it's not for once us, and looking at the stuff going, why didn't we do this? Why did we sign this guy? Why did we not re-sign Sheriff? Instead, we brought in 2 guys whose knees are about to fall off. Right. Certain moves they were making, you're like, what are we doing? I think they actually got it.
Y'all think Zach Ertz is that guy at TD? Tight end. Look, I think to what we've been saying, as far as every down back or every down tight end or anything like that, I don't think that's it. But I think it's situational. I think we need that big play. We need that third down when you need to sit there and expose a gap in that defense. He is that kind of wily vet that can get that done. And I don't think he's a grandpa. Like, he's not Witten. Like, he's got some speed. He can extend. He can make plays, man. So I definitely think that was a good move.
Yeah, I think it was a good move because it was cheap. But yeah, I mean, I think like you, it's going to be situational.
That's why Ron's at ESPN. There it is.
You got to talk like Ron. He's a good player. He really is. Ron can do a good job there. He really could.
Yeah.
Double emphasizes when he talks.
Yeah. This guy. So, hey, right now the excitement level is through the roof in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
The world is at our fingertips right now. I mean, these guys are not only making moves, but they're making intelligent moves. And it gets to the point, and this is funny because I've seen it where, like, and I've said this to you, like, they're making moves where you're kind of like, huh, well, okay. I like, I didn't even think, okay, like, yeah, good job. Yeah, I like that. You know what I mean? As opposed to where you're just like, scratching your head, like, what?
Right.
What? You know? So we're in a great place.
I got two things. Yeah, well, like you said, I think had I not read Ben Standig's articles on The Athletic, which if you don't have a subscription, you should sign up for. I think it may be like $1 a month that they run all these deals. And I never would have thought that Luvu and Chin were a possibility. So when these guys came through, I'm like, oh, okay,
right.
I'll take that. Biotish, and I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, all right, I'll take it. I kind of figured Dorrance Armstrong would come. I thought we'd get Dante Fowler, but there's been a couple signings too. I mean, Bobby Wagner, I was like, oh my gosh. But, it was really like, oh, all right. Well, that's been kind of excited. So when we signed Jeremy Reeves, when we re-signed him today, and they were showing, fans being as mean as they are. So I'm like, oh, what's going on with Chase Young, all this. I've seen pictures floating around Twitter about, and it was Reeves and Chase Young in their Washington football team uniforms. And this is just a sidetrack. Man, I miss those uniforms. Yeah. I didn't like the helmet, obviously, and I would love to pair it, but these Commanders uniforms suck. These jerseys look so bad. And they introduced Zach Ertz in that white jersey, and like, I love the dude who he started like the name Washington. The handle is Washington Radskins, and he's got a big old Redskin logo, and he's like, where's the burgundy and gold on this? And the jersey is maroon, white, and black. It's like there's no burgundy and gold on this. And it's like, he has got a good point. It's like, man, can we just go back to the old uniforms? Put that new helmet on. I got no problem with that new helmet, but go back to the old uniforms.
Can't take the colors away because, I mean, look, and I saw Ertz in that white jersey, and it almost looked like he was in a Cardinals jersey because the color scheme, it looks red almost. It's getting awful, and I'm not gonna lie. I remember when it first came out, the black jersey, I had an issue with it, and I watched the game replayed the other day with the black jerseys, and it was just, it don't sit well with me. Just coming from what I remember, where you did have the vibrant colors popping, the burgundy, the gold, the white, the whole nine coming together. That one is just, things they're trying to do too much on that. So hopefully you're right. Hopefully they can bring it back. And even at the beginning of this year, I talked about it. Every team in the NFL, this was supposed to be that throwback jerseys year, and everybody has their old jerseys and everything. Why can't we go back to that? You telling me you can't switch a couple things up on there and make it accessible for us too? Man, that brings us back to those years. So
I know. And I think that the black jerseys, I think themselves, like if you just wear your black jersey with shorts or pants, whatever, they're a good looking jersey. But the whole helmet, jersey, pants, we look like bumblebees out there. I mean, there's very little red that can be seen or burgundy that can be seen. It is yellow and black. It's like that. That's just not. Same thing. Like, I don't think the Commanders red is a bad jersey itself, but the combo itself is just like, I don't like it.
Bring back the old FSU looking unis. Yeah,
that's a clever way of saying bring back the Indian head, the old Redskins. I like it. The old FSU knockoffs.
Right? Respect Adam and Quinn, man. Most of all, respect to Dan Tyner for selling the steed.
Yes.
Shout out to Dan.
Thank you.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All righty.
That's all I got.
Yeah, are you good?
Like, we got all the topics.
Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited that I'm bubbling over. I have notes. I got 2 different things open right now. I just keep looking, refreshing, trying to see if something else is going to pop up. Let me write this down. I'm all over the place. So I'm mixing up names. Mike Wagner. It's Bobby Wagner. All right. And then Jeremy Quinn. No, it's Jeremy Chin. It's okay. Just in case you saw those earlier, even though in the replay, they'll be edited out.
Right.
It's all good. But so hey, look, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being on here with us and talking back and forth. And to be honest, Will, I'm excited. I'm excited for next week because with everything that's happened now, I can only imagine what's going to happen. I mean, the minute we get off here, all the way up until that time.
Gotta keep hitting refresh Twitter or X, whatever he wants to call it.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us. Jack, Misador, Ab, Alex, Nate, all you guys, Ben, all you guys that jumped in the comments and chilled with us and talked with us. We appreciate it. We hope you guys enjoyed the conversation and definitely get down with us at a later time. Look, for my guy, Mr. Will Kramer, you know who it is. It is your boy, Sean Spencer. And as we always do, we have to go out the only way we know how. Left hand up, ladies and gentlemen.
Gibbs, you got a good chance. Let me tell you something about some good fans. Back in the day, RFK was our palace. If you don't know, you need to ask